Hello, folks. Thanks. Welcome again to another episode of the Star Citizen Report. Got here Thamin. Over here, got Memo. All
Welcome, folks.
right. Down here, got Arleeya. All right. And we've got quite a lot of news, quite a lot of to talk about today. We've had design updates coming out on the Mobiglas, a big one on that. That's quite a bit we got to get into. We've had the announcements in that from PAX and PAX South that we want to go through, and they also did another design program on the shields and messing with those. Take a look at here. All right. And I was gonna, before we jump into the main thing of the Mobiglas, I had a few things kind of at a glance to get out of the way right away. One thing was yesterday, our Star Citizen report was featured on Galactic Inquiry. The show Michael Moreland has started since, he's been doing a few shows and on the side, and Michael Moreland produced Wingman's Hangar, and he featured us yesterday. Mentioned us, a few other fan projects out there on Star Citizen. So glad for the shout out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool.
And let's see, they made an announcement a little while back. This old news because we're already seeing the announcements that starting this month they plan to have, well, a monthly letter for the chairman post, but also releasing lengthy design updates every other week. We've had 2 of them since that announcement. That's a big thing of what we're going to be going over here. And we've hit 72 million.
Just shy of 750,000 citizens.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
Let's get 1 million citizens in that game. Crash all the servers day one.
Oh, no.
It's gonna happen. I mean, it's one of the things you just plan in.
We need to get to 100 million.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Oh, yeah.
Have faith.
Only 28 more to go, and then, we could call we win.
Yeah. As it is, Operation Pitchfork may be quite the blitz on Vanduul space.
Yeah, that is going to be something.
Now that they even have skins for it, for the Aurora, and hopefully for the other ships that are available in the store as well.
Mobius, it is not Darth Thamin. I am muted during the open credits, so that was not me.
It was you.
Yeah, it was you.
There is no other sound like that, man.
So other news here. Arena Commander 1.0.2 was released. They're going to trip me up on that point number system here soon, but and one thing folks get to have now with this, there's the highlights they would say of this is selectable Aurora skins on the holotable, and they're gonna they've also made changes to set the table for shield customization. Kind of showing you those Aurora pictures now. It's between a UEE skin, a pirate one, and one dedicated for Operation Pitchfork. And I did see a few other notes about this patch that kind of popped out and caught my eye there. I mean, I'm skipping over, of course, a lot of it, but there's a few important things here, like this one patch note. Pistol fire will no longer cause damage states on ships.
Yeah.
When you pop out of your ship now, you can't blast away with the pistol anymore. That seems kind of like a downer. If you can hit another ship with a pistol, you should at least click off a little damage there. Come on. I can't hit another ship when it's right in front of me with all my guns going at once, so can't imagine I'd be a big danger with a pistol.
It'd be like World War I in your biplane. You go flying by, you pull out your shotgun.
Well, but yeah, I'm like wondering who is it that's firing their pistol and hitting ships? Is this got to be some testing behind this internal or something?
All right.
Could it be that they ejected from their cockpit?
That might be. I don't think my pistol would have gone with me. Another bug I noticed once when I started in Arena Commander, there was something right in front of my eyes between me and the cockpit. I moved left a bit, looked right, and there was my pistol hanging in midair.
You need to watch it if your pistol's hanging in midair. That's scary, Thamin.
It's called Zero G for a reason there, Thamin. You're supposed to keep that stuff attached to you. Velcro, amazing. Duct tape, anything.
I don't want that stuff bouncing inside the cockpit. They had that flashlight of Thor bug a little while back where the flashlight bounced around, eventually blew up the ship. And
we can't shoot at the ships with our pistols, but our flashlights can take them. Okay.
Right.
And in consideration of the old bug where the Constellation bathroom would lock you in, now there's apparently a known issue where the back seat of the Super Hornet cannot be exited. I don't know how you get in the first place, but I'm glad I didn't get stuck there.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to get in there in the first place, but apparently if you do work your way in, you're not getting out. It's a one-way trip.
Well, isn't that where the ice cream's supposed to go? From that commercial?
Beer.
There you go. Put the ice cream in, it's not coming back out. Thought this was also interesting. When you're firing missiles, they aren't inheriting the velocity from the ship that launches them. So, fire missiles. Come on, get back in the fight here.
Right.
I guess I was kind of wondering something like that. I expect to see him streaking out, and I'd see him well later. But
I have to admit, that guy that does the Bug Smasher, he's really doing a good work. But is he the only one doing this? Because that's what it seems like to me when I watch that arena around the verse.
Yeah, you think they gotta have more people on it with all the ones they've hired, but yeah, we don't see any of the other guys.
They did show the Austin office, how it's changed. Yeah, they're really, busy.
And still hiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're really talented, give them a call, write to them, send in all your work.
I think the last one I had from the patch notes, and this happened to me, where your character will sometimes spawn with their helmet on backwards. Now, thank goodness there was still a small window up here that I could see through. And we were spawning Vandal Swarm. I said, hey guys, something's wrong. I'm looking around and something's blocking most of my face. And they told me about it, so I was forced to clear the bug by ejecting before we'd even readied up for the match and exploding and then spawning in. So it doesn't count against your spawns, but it clears the helmet problem. I just feel sad for that. I had to eject before even engaging the Vandal in that one.
So we become the men in the Iron Mask.
Nice.
And well, on to I think the meat of things here. They did the presentation on the Mobiglas, the design notes on that. And Chris Roberts says Mobiglas is going to be an important aspect throughout Star Citizen's world, and something that speaks directly to my goal of removing immersion defeating outside menus from the game world. And I thought this was an awesome article to go through. I thought I'd go ahead and just give you guys a choice, whichever one of you wants to start off. Anything you want to pick apart from this announcement?
Memo?
Memo. Go ahead, Thamin.
Oh, I was giving you all your shot. I'll go ahead and...
The amazing thing about the Mobiglas is this. The technology, what we're seeing, it's fictitious, but it's going in the future, is what's starting now. I mean, we've got Microsoft with their HoloGlass. We have all the phones that we run around with, the PDAs, everything is there. We have biometric watches, and eventually, what will happen is we'll be going into kind of like those movies, like what was it, Minority Report, where he walks in and the face recognizes, and you start getting an advertisement and this and that. It's amazing of what it is and reading through it, the amount of detail that they have put into this, and it's just the foundation of it, which is what is really amazing, what they're going to present.
Yeah, with the way they've said they're going to be customizable and the different kinds and, you know, different ways you're going to be able to adapt these to your personal playstyle. It sounds pretty interesting to me. It doesn't, I don't know, it's not really a cutting edge tech thing for me because, like you said, Arleeya, we pretty well got what they're talking about pretty much right now with wearable tech. You know, I
But
was
it'll
thinking
be
more
better.
along lines of implantable tech, you know, popped up a virtual screen behind your eye or something. That would be something.
Well, that's the phone company wanting to put that chip in. But
The chips are there.
yeah, the thing that gets me is I was looking at the how it's broken down, the different pieces, and a thought came to my mind is, well, their Mobiglas is going to have to be when you're wearing a spacesuit and you're working outside of your ship, it's going to have to be outside your spacesuit. So there must be something attached to you that's part of your spacesuit that the Mobiglas clicks in on that reads your biometrics.
Wouldn't have to
Second thing
attach. I
is,
mean, look at the scanners
yeah,
they
like,
use for implantables now.
yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
like
it
when
would
you
be,
chip a dog or you chip anything else. I mean, those don't even have a power source.
yeah. Now, that was the second part that I was curious about is, how do you recharge this?
Your body, kinetic energy.
That would be really cool.
That would be. Feeds off the user. That could sound
Maybe it has
bad
its
too.
own nuclear power plant, you know, or maybe it's Energizer or Duracell.
I think some of this has
I'm
had a great idea, but I also remember Michael Moreland last night saying about the wrist idea and such. It's like that's going to get tired holding that up all day if you're walking around like that constantly too. Which they said is an option, but
They also brought that up. The golden shirt guy. What was his name? One of the guys that does the ships. He was the judge.
oh,
Had that special LeMay golden shirt.
was it Skelton that did the?
Skelton, right?
Okay.
Sorry. There's so many people. He brought up a thing where you're standing in the store and you've got your arm up and you're looking at this. Someone can walk right behind you, run a scanner, and get all of your information that they need, lock into it, and just keep walking. The other thing they could do is hit you on the back of the head, too. Because, you know, we see people today with their noses right into their text messaging and their phones. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them.
I can see that happening here, but well, I was gonna go ahead and talk into a little more about what this Mobiglas concept is that we're talking about. For those who, if you haven't seen it at all, because it was a long time ago that we saw some concept pictures. It's this Mobiglas is going to be their in-game equivalent of you having all your inventory, all your menus you would normally go through in a game as a player, and yet giving it a kind of in-game world perspective for how you can enter it, a way that you can kind of program it and it be, how should I say, all your options right there, and it doesn't try to break the immersion. He said it's the idea to replacement of the traditional game menus and heads-up displays. He also calls it a diegetic interface, first time I ever heard this word, where what you see is the same as your character's vision, and it brings those game mechanics and choices right there to your character's hands. And yes, we've already talked about you operate it similar to mobile devices. This technology is already kind of, I'd say, developing here, although I don't know on some of the 3D effects which we might talk about in a little bit here, if that would be, you know, we don't really see that yet.
Well, that's the thing that I was going to say. I mean, you'd have to get every single store, department store, bank, everything available. I mean, you walk, let's use, I hate to use a real world name because we're plugged something that maybe somebody doesn't like. Let's call it BB's Bots and Batteries. Let's just make up something. You walk in there and you're looking for a repair bot or something, and they have these batteries and stuff like that. So at a certain range to the case which I think you have in some of the images, it will give you more information. If you're too far away, it's not going to remember it. It's kind of like walking into your supermarket, picking up a can and reading the table, the ingredients to see what the carbohydrates are and everything else. Well, you could walk by, you could click your Mobiglas, you don't have to even touch the can. And that's what you're going to see in the game. You only see one item, and if they're out of the item, then that shelf position will be empty. So if you walk in, you say, hey, I need to get that's the breakdown of what it looks like. Say I need to get a different gun for my ship. So you get to choose, okay, is the Klaus and Werner weapon, or am I going to get was it the Arensky? I can't remember the other name of the companies. There's so many.
Omnisky or something.
Omnisky. Okay, you got an Omnisky. So you're thinking, well, should I get the Klaus and Werner? Should I get the Omnisky? Will it fit on my ship? Now we have the shields. So you look at the shields. Do you want direct damage? Do you want splash damage? And you have to see, well, this is a 4. This won't fit on my ship. My ship only takes a 2. And this will help you in the game. It's a tool. I remember playing EverQuest the very first time. They had a book. You open the book, and that's how you got your mana back. You couldn't see what else was going on around you. This is better. You've got transparency. It does. It flows. It makes it easy. I was talking with one of our members earlier, and I said, did you hear if we're going to be able to have both left or right-handed versions? And he said, yeah, they're going to be doing something like that. So that, to me, is a really good thing. Then I brought up one last thing, and I'm not sure if other people understand this, but there's key bindings in the game that you could change. And you have for your HOTAS, your hands-on throttle stick, you have your controller, you have your mouse and keyboard. Well, when you go into your options in Arena Commander now, once you're in the hangar, and eventually that's going to change to these sim things. I think I sent you a picture, Thamin, of certain
I'll
things.
have that coming up shortly.
Yeah. You see a static display, and then you have your key binding set up, and you get to mix and match. Well, why not have it in the Mobiglas so that if you come home late from work or something, you just want to play an hour or two, and your mind is so frazzled from the reality of the day, you can't remember if it was the K key or the L key or something. Why can't you just pull it up on your Mobiglas and go, oh, there it is, it's the L key. I keep on forgetting. And you could see it, and then maybe you could actually change it with the Mobiglas, and it has a more dynamic thing. It'll bring up your type of joystick. Maybe those are the simulation that's going to replace the what we have now as the Arena Commander. They've been trying to. I think the final version, what is it? D looks good. The thing is, it would be so cool as if you're using an Oculus Rift, or if you're using maybe that new HoloGlass thing from Microsoft, or whatever you're doing, that this is part of the program where you have technology that's borrowing on the reality side and making it easy for the player to interact in the game and make it simple for them to work with their controls.
Yeah, I was going to say, and they did say that this Mobiglas, the info it's shown, it can be a good mixture of 2D and 3-dimensional info. So they did say if you're using Oculus VR, it will really make the display look particularly stunning. And they gave examples like, imagine guild members in the hangar's conference room able to seamlessly exchange information by like taking some from their Mobiglas and just kind of like flicking it up to the giant screen on the wall. And they did put, as far as it adapts to your context, so, and wherever you happen to be. So you can aim at a character, and it may be saying something about their affiliations. You may get different. You may or may not see if there's a bounty on their head, depending on whether you're a member of the guild or not. Some things are available if you're part of certain guilds. If you are in a market, you're going to get a certain market app that's going to show up and adapt to where you're at. You could be aiming at a advertisement in a Terran subway, and the advertisement will help you plan a route to go to the closest retailer and stuff like that. Plus, it's going to
it's a mini map.
Yeah, It's going to track your missions, review your trades, help you plan your space routes, and basically just directly interact with the world in a lot of different ways.
Did they mention if you have like a tablet, and you maybe say you're on your way home to play or something, you check, is that going to be like the application on your tablet so that once you get in the game, you could do stuff outside of the game to check on stuff? Would that be something similar that they're going to maybe make? It was a stretch goal at one point.
Let's see. I was going to say, yeah, that rings a bell. I don't remember seeing it mentioned in here, but something about that does ring a bell. They could try to interact with some stuff outside the game. I don't really remember specifics, though. I was going to go to, so, they've mentioned this thing is just really a good multi-purpose tool for just about every role in the game. Jobs, touristy stuff, fulfilling guild stuff. And yes, what we said, though, other players can look over your shoulder. Some establishments, there are cases in which you're going to be blocked from scanning certain things. And so you'll find places in the universe that will do that for some reason.
They did say one of the stretch goals at 42 million was that if you all got in there as a backer, that the Mobiglas that we're getting at launch will be the Explorer one. It will give you things that players beyond that won't have. That what they mean is instead of having to search the verse for a whole bunch of stuff, you'll get certain information because of that stretch goal.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Oh, and they did say there is going to be diversity. There are going to be different in-game competitors, which will make different models and means to display your info. We'll go into it, but there's going to be a whole lot of different apps that are coming out to help a player. They said UEE and advocacy groups may have different Mobiglas suited for their roles. I was going to say, too, they said you'll also find experts that can tweak your standard Mobiglas legally or illegally. And, yeah, so kind of adding to its functionality. There's going to be add-ons you can attach certain, they said scanners or shields, and we kind of wondered about that shields part before the show earlier.
That's, I think, it's only to protect the Mobiglas. You're expendable. You might have a warranty on your Mobiglas, and well.
Let's take Death of a Spaceman to the extreme there. Well, he flew into the sun, but we recovered the Mobiglas. There you go.
Important. There's always a market.
They did mention that there's the Mobiglas systems break down into different functionalities too. There's some core ones, and there's some that are kind of inconsequential to gameplay. They were kind of going, Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. An important part is your Mobiglas can take damage. They said right now it kind of ties into your left arm taking damage, but as we know, yes, there was somewhere back in there where you could decide whether your character's right-handed or left-handed.
So if your left arm gets blown off, does that mean you've lost your Mobiglas functionality?
Yeah. The idea behind it is, though,
do they only make them for left arms? I mean,
they hopefully they will. The thing is that if you have your Mobiglas on your left arm and you're in the first-person shooting part of it, do not shoot the Mobiglas. Shoot the right arm out. This way they can't use their Mobiglas to see how bad of a condition they're really in. You want to surprise them. No,
yeah.
I think what's going to be necessary is a lot of people are going to say, I have the option for the Mobiglas, but I'm going to use the augmented reality, that AR, the glasses, the contacts, maybe a monocle, who knows what.
A monocle?
Yeah, I was just thinking of Google Glass.
Arch villain here or something, or the Monopoly guy, one of those.
Well, I was thinking Google Glass there for a second because it's only got that one eye.
Well, when you say monocle, I think of the Monopoly guy or Penguin from the original Batman series.
Yeah, the Penguin. Yeah.
Trucon from our live chat right now is saying the shields can be for shielding against scanners.
Ah,
So,
it's for the Mobiglas.
and well, I suppose it could, in essence, maybe yes, jam against somebody. It could be an anti-piracy. It could be a security use type thing.
Yeah, protect your bank account.
They're giving pirates some leeway into the universe. You know, you need some protective means as well.
Novatech mentioned the old Fallout Pip-Boy. If anybody ever played the game, that was that kind of all-purpose computer thing that you wore.
Yes. I remember that. They did say no matter how damaged your arm gets, you'll still have the essential functions and core game components group A. But I assume that whatever ties into that portion of the Mobiglas is your basic game controls. Your uh, log out, I'm dead, I'll figure this out later. I don't know, something like that.
It gets glitchy. It'd be like staticky and everything else. I mean, like, say, what happens if you go over to one of these aftermarket stores and you buy a Mobiglas and the thing only works for a couple of weeks? I mean, they sold you a product that was damaged, or maybe it was stolen, and now your ID has been tampered with and you're being chased by the advocacy.
Hopefully they won't, although it does sound like certain transactions like that could be a possibility in the game. But yes, it is made to also glitch as the arm takes damage and as the unit takes damage. So another little bite to getting shot. And they did say that yeah, when you're trying to scan stuff with this, it's going to have a certain filter depending on the size of things. You're going to want to be in an appropriate closeness to scan something. I mean, if it's a ship, you can be a good distance away. Although if it's an item on a counter, you're probably going to have to be really close, and it will register the item before the counters, just since it's closer to the source.
They had one picture of aiming the Mobiglas at the sky, and you got the actual time of the planet and the name of the planet you're on, and it told you when sunset was and everything else, which I thought was a cool idea.
I thought that too. I threw that picture up here as it's the first one in the slideshow. It can seem weird, giant words hanging over your head in orbit, but I was thinking too. So let's see. Of course, the system does try to balance things so you don't have an overload of data right there on your screen. And there are different. How should I say? There are different areas of the Mobiglas. Like it'll be paying attention to where you're aiming. There'll be exact center. There'll be kind of a, how should I say, bullseye center. I was looking to see if they have a specific name, and I didn't pick that up here.
Does it have a reticule? Or?
They showed a reticule in the pictures, but they said it won't actually be visible. So who knows? Maybe there might still be an effect we might see. They did say certain things will glow more if you're looking directly at them. And here I found it. There is like a
ABC.
Soft selection. Let's see. Focused on an item, or a locked selection area, or a soft selection. So as to, you might get a lot of data of an item, and then as you pan away from it, the data shown kind of slips away until it's out of your field of view and it just kind of forgotten then, so to speak. But the more you're staring at an object as well, the more tags you might see giving information about that object.
You'll also be able to use your Mobiglas to enlarge the size of your hangar.
Yeah. Go
That's
ahead.
Cool.
Tell us more. Run with that, because there is a lot with that, I think.
Yeah, it's you go around. You could work on your cargo. You can check on your ship, get it fueled. You can add rooms, come back later. I think they're going to have time set for it. You'll have purchases on the UEC. And from what they also said in one of the presentations is there's no hard currency. There's no other cash in the game. Everything is UEC. So that kind of makes it simple. Which means the pirates are probably going to have a different type of currency. But maybe they will use UEC, but you'll exchange it for something else. Who knows what they'll do? I'm still thinking there's going to be something in the game that is transferable, like high gems, gold, silver, whatever.
Yeah,
But that's
goods
not
will
going
be
to.
transferable, but I mean, just think about it. It's all digital credits, anyways. I mean, if a society's based on that, there's going to be some way of washing them so that
Yeah.
the digital signature doesn't follow them. Because if we know anything by being gamers, if there's a way to break a system, someone will break it. And even if there's not, they'll still figure out a way to break it.
The thing about
I
the
would guess that would
Mobiglas is
carry over.
it's going to tie in with the info runners, the heralds, the Drake heralds. So you're going to need to go to someone, say you're not that legit of a person, or perhaps you are a legitimate person, but you need to have a cover identity to sneak in somewhere to get something really cool. And you just don't want to ruin your reputation. That would be a cool way of handling it too. So,
Yeah. So I think what I'll do here is I'm gonna go through try to run through the file notes to have the Mobiglas so we can get into a little more of the PAX South. But it did say yes. There's so much apps, so much stuff that this Mobiglas can be attuned to. Like you said, not only adding a room to your hangar, managing that, but virtually placing objects which will then move to where you design them to in your hangar. So you can rearrange that. It's everyone's personal assistant device. They said it pretty much is going to be about every use people have today for a smartphone and more. It's really going to be your interactive tool with the whole environment. And let's see, you might get, just kind of going through down here. Well, they gave an example of some of these current Mobiglas apps. You've got mg.home, which is your general hub and customization menu. You can prioritize your other apps. You have MG Alert Center, all your notifications and alerts, so it can be your updates to a contract, quest, hangar invites, messages from friends, important invites, so that's a big one. MG Easy Shop, which allows you to buy, sell things, and link to a store's inventory. It can also access online store catalogs full of 3D images, which can be sorted and filtered by you. Thought that was pretty handy. Cargo Manager for your ship inventory, as well as your pockets and everything you have on you. A scheduler that helps keep track of your missions, contracts, and other special events. It works as both like a personal planner and a quest tracker. There's a hangar service, which again manages your hangar, customizes it. Shipworks. Oh, go ahead.
Is that the part that's going to be able to move your ships around?
Yeah, it also said you could your hangar design expansion, so it would also affect what you do with your ships in the hangar.
The cash, I think, wasn't there MG Cash or something? Or bank or something? What was it per bank?
There was one CCB Finance.
Yeah.
Which is finance, economy, market, previous transactions.
I guess you could take a loan out by just sitting in your hangar.
There you go. That's where the pirates get into play. They start hacking into data. There's the Shipworks, which is similar to the Holotable, but it's got a lot more added functionality. And that's the one where you can also do anything with your ship too, as far as refueling, rearming, servicing the ship, and just examining how much damage has been done to it. And they even listed a whole bunch more. Ones that keep track of your passports and licenses, a Galactopedia of sorts app that they have in there.
Star map?
Yep. And one that helps simplify trade with other players, so quite the handy tool.
So the only thing that this game is not going to have is for Xi'an, Banu, Tavaran, and eventually the other two races, Vondel and the one we have to locate, is language translator. Everybody's going to speak common, I suppose. There's not going to be any language difference.
I think as far as we know it.
Yeah, it's just a question.
Yeah, I think they are using in effect some kind of language translator thing. I'm not. That rings a bell.
I wonder how much memory these things actually have.
By the way, folks, I'm showing you since Grimsley uploaded some video of touring his asteroid hangar. Just giving you a little video of that.
Thank you, Grimsley.
Yeah, I imagine those things got to hold a lot. Let's talk about PAX South. They had a town hall presentation. There was so much information. I mean, 4-hour-long videos pretty much that came out of that. And
the jump
we've got
animation.
I'm going to pull that up here in a moment too. So
they had a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, they did say end of March, beginning of April, we'll show off the Planetside and the first-person shooter. Arena Commander 1.1 will include the social module, multiplayer hangars, a Mobiglas contact list, so we'll see maybe something of the Mobiglas already. Planetside of R-Corp, and they said browsing shops, but they said you're just window shopping. That's
that's good. Save some money for when the real game comes out.
Yeah. We've got some early NPC AI. Then the SimPod we already mentioned. We're going to see that. I'm going to show some video here too. I think I'm getting to the wormhole. The first part they showed as part of this. They were kind of showing an example of like even buying something from one of the stores. I think like using the Mobiglas and such.
The sneak peek, I think, this past week on Around the Verse was the actual ship jumping.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh.
It did remind me of like the Next Generation Enterprise, how it would stretch out into the distance.
Mm-hmm. Well, the wormhole reminds me a little. Well, two movies. One was Farscape, where you got to pilot yourself around. The second one was Fantastic Voyage, when you go into this like this wormhole and you see areas that look like branching off like capillaries and holes and gaps and the question I have is, you're exploring, you find this wormhole, you navigate through it, you get to the other end, you find whatever you find, hopefully something good. Now, do you have to navigate back through it to get back out?
Once you went somewhere, you should have the map points. I mean your computer should store all that.
Yeah, they did say you go through it once and it's mapped, but they did say over time there'll be small changes so that you may have to refly through it again.
Because I would think that if you went through it and then you went through it again, and you found a shorter route, or what happens you go through it and you say, well, where does this branch in here go? And you end up in the system that maybe you didn't want to go to. I mean,
showing the wormhole footage here.
Yeah. Guy's buying a hand grenade from what we see right here.
And this is cool. So they were showing it.
You'll die.
Both ends,
and Mark
right?
Skelton's comment, if you screw up, you'll die.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was pretty funny. It wasn't just a tunnel, too. There were weird formations that would come down as columns in the middle of the tunnels, so you're trying to avoid those.
So is this going to be part of the procedural, which means each one of these is all going to be different?
He was not, no.
Well, they didn't go into that, so I wasn't sure.
Paying attention to where he's flying instead of trying to talk to the audience.
Sorry.
It's impressive.
Very.
Yeah,
so
you
I
could
thought
see
that was
that
amazing.
Ship,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you could see that that's a Hornet. Can you imagine something larger attempting to go through that like a Carrack? That's going to be really tight.
Yeah, so that's why I see we're going to see a little variety too as far as these. They did say too, of course, when we see the multiplayer hangars, you'll be able to ride your hangar elevator down to different floors, which are basically your friends' hangars, and eventually out to the city. Pardon me. They mentioned a few places in early alpha Planetside are going to include Nix, which sounds like it's not too regulated. A lot of smuggled goods. It's on an asteroid crater. And things like Helios, which is a water planet that could have huge waves crashing into the walls.
That's where you get all your new fish for your tank.
They did, oh, here we go. One about pirates, where they will be able to smuggle goods and jam signals. What surprised me was they were talking about different pirate tactics and what they could do and what they'd have to adopt. But there was even a mention of somehow perhaps getting onto a ship and looting the cargo without the ship's captain even detecting them or alerting the UEE. So that's got to be sneaky if somebody can pull that off.
I would think it would have to be something like a Hull C or very large transport. There was a movie called Ice Pirates. I don't think anybody remembered it.
I do.
Okay, where they land in between the, and they, yeah. But, okay. The, what was I going to say? Because we have,
But yeah, Ice Pirates, somewhere
Yeah,
is in there, and Hull C.
there was an article in RSI. It was like this guy talking about this pirate saying that you took out 23 people or something, you ghosted them, and they're mining and this and that. You're ruining it for everybody. Now you have pirates that are going after pirates because before the advocacy and the UEE gets in there, which makes it rather interesting. So it's going to be interesting how this game's really going to look.
I agree.
It did, yeah, oh wait, Nova's also mentioning Memo might have trouble making it through that tunnel.
I think all of us are going to have trouble making it through that tunnel.
I can fly straight. I just can't shoot straight. If you gotta let go of the joystick, it just flies.
There's two things about going through that jump, those wormholes. One, no telemarketers or phone calls. Two, you're not chatting with anybody. You're just focused.
Who knows, maybe we'll have our own warp expert and we'll have him come over onto our ship and make that flight for us every time.
Right.
That's going to be expensive.
They did say that also they know folks want flexibility, so they were talking about clothes, facial emotions. Clothes are going to have a lot of variety and layers, whether even things are tucked in or not. They said as far as character models, fat or thin still depends on the range that you can fit in your cockpit. And they did say they're just a couple iterations away from us being able to pick our starting planet.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, what was it on the around the verse that they were, or was it the reverse the verse where they were taking us around the Austin office? They showed one of the designers there working on various boots and clothing. The mentioning of they joked around with the cargo pants, and that's something that our pilots need to understand. If you're carrying something like your backpack, you're going to be able to carry more stuff. But if you got 2 pants pockets, you're going to want to find the baggiest, deepest pocketed jackets, coats, dusters, everything you can, so you could load up with whatever you can have. Because you're going to be limited. You're not going to be able to put a book in your back pocket or something. Oh, and that's the arc welder that they're showing now.
Yeah, Sandy Gardner's still been kind of sneaking all these pictures out on her webpage.
Yeah.
I know
It's
we
good.
probably won't get as much into the shields here, and I'm just kind of getting into this other stuff. But I do want to let you guys, folks, know again, when we sign off here, the entertainment is not done on Grievance's channel tonight.
Ruffians, be there. Hang in channel. They're doing a good job showing what they show. What is it that no, they're rough, aren't they?
It's ruffians.
Ruffians.
They got some programming scheduled ahead here too that we're looking forward to. It's one thing about Grievance. We're getting this channel more and more busy, and definitely prime time. There's always something going on. So let me also just get up our information there for the folks that might be watching later on YouTube. A few other things they talked about PAX South. They are considering an auto-loading hangar, so you might only see a maximum 5 ships at a time, but you can interact with the hangar and it'll move ships to you. So helpful for those people who have a fleet like Arleeya's, that even the Grey Cat would run out of fuel before it gets to the end of the hangar.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking
of
of getting it.
For me, I don't need an auto-loading hangar to have more than.
The thing, that's the reason why I have 3 Starfarers, is just to fill up the Grey Cat so it can get to the other side of the... Which reminds me, they don't have blue. And, you know, if you are going to be getting the new weapons and the shielding and everything, please bear in mind that they're not done yet. They're going to be bringing out so much more in the next couple of weeks and months. So hold on.
Right.
There's going to be more coming. And those shields are, they're in the Voyager store, so if you're looking for them, that's part of Voyager, which means once you buy it, you can't trade it, so it's yours.
One second.
Thamin's co-stars. It looks like we won't be having the ruffians following us. There's some kind of hang up there. I don't know if they got their crew together. Anywho,
If I was folks, doesn't hurt to hang around, leave the channel open, see what's going to happen, because I have faith maybe they could, you know, they might still be able to get something going. And there's usually someone who keeps the channel, but you know, they are usually behind our programming, so folks tune in and catch them here. Let's see. Oh,
okay.
I had to remember to get to this one with Steelheart in mind when they were talking about hangars. The largest ships in the hangar right now, there was an argument, was either the Retaliator or the Caterpillar. You know, Steelheart's got a Caterpillar. And if the ship's large enough, it's going to be an outside landing pad or you take a shuttle to orbit.
nice.
Well, that would be an Idris. That'll be a Corvette. That'll definitely be a destroyer, Javelin. But I would think a Carrack would be the largest one to put into a hangar.
There's other reasons why I usually tend to mute myself when I'm not the one talking. They did say on Planetside, at first there was something about maybe, you know, folks won't be able to take their guns with them, but right now they're saying that you can take your guns with you. They want mechanisms in place on the planet where even if it's a safe planet, you might be doing some back alley dealing or be out at night and something can happen. So they want people to be able to bring their guns with them. They did say there will be a number of security things in place that sometimes might even auto-stun a person. If you walk into a bank, draw a gun on Terror or something like that, it'll probably stun you before you can get a shot off.
So rob the banks on Earth because Terra is better protected.
Nice.
Or Earth. But they want to give people on your toes. They did say that Planetside Customs may disallow your weapon or ban you depending on situation and your reputation.
Oh,
go ahead.
The persistent universe needs to be tested as well. I mean, they have certain things in place that perhaps you come off of your ship and you're heavily armed, and their security says, no, go back in your ship and put all that stuff away. We're not going to let you run around here and play. And I'm sure that's what's going to probably happen. I guess they want to test some of that stuff. So remember, when they start offering blackjacks, and that's not the card game in the store, buy them. They're not lethal.
Well,
they can't.
Let's see. They did go into on PAX South and discuss missions in detail. They tried to stress that not all these missions are going to be definitely like combat oriented. Of course, sometimes players will give out their own missions, but they said some missions are smart. You can still have mercenary ones that are combat and assaults, but there's can be defensive missions, protecting traders, or just retrieving things. They said rescue differs from pure medic in that you may not always be healing, but you could. They gave an example of there could be scientists at a doomed base, and you're docking and trying to rescue them as soon as possible before sun blows up and the base blows up or something like that. But there was something along those lines too, and I lost my thought even as I was talking about it.
Suns blowing up might not be a good thing. I mean, the amount of work they're putting in this game, they're building these star systems. I don't think they want anybody blowing up a star. A planet.
Oh, but a fire or the base blow up. So there can be rescue missions like that. And I remember what I was going to say, that sometimes these missions, they'll go out in general to anybody. So you could have a crowd of people trying to help evacuate the base or carry out a function. So that'll happen.
Or showing up with a reclaimer to take big chunks of it. Yeah, somebody's got to clean up the mess and make some money.
Memo, they're working on those drones for you and your reclaimer.
Nice.
That's going to help you. The mining drones as well. I can't wait to see what's going to happen within the next week or so. What they're going to release to show us, like they did with the shields and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking for some last ones. They did give a good example of these multi-crew ships. Why everything's so important around them, because they said, okay, one person can do this stuff. It can be a little more unsafe. Of course, you can have NPCs help, but they said, like, you may have a dedicated scanning operator looking for the best spot to mine, beam operators cutting the asteroids and watching, paying attention to gauges that might reflect certain dangers during the mining, cargo operator trying to move those pieces of the asteroid into the ship, and refinery operator. But it did say that there's going to have all these jobs going. People are going to be watching these gauges, watching these readings, and contributing as part of a team on the ship. So it still sounds like you get folks with you to join in on this. You have a lot of fun together and probably operate more efficiently than being off on your own.
Not to mention the fact you can also do cross-training. Let's say, for example, you're on the ship and you're about to leave because you have some real life matters, and somebody else is coming into that position on the ship, taking over the NPC, kind of Matrix-wise thing. You could quickly say, "Oh, by the way, watch this, gauge this and that," and then they take over for you while you become the NPC, and it just wanders around until it resets. However, that's going to work. That'll be cool.
Alright guys, I think we're going to start get to last thoughts here and a bit of... sorry I didn't get more into the shields. I've got notes, but it sounds like things are really going to vary as far as, like, are you going to have shields that are good at splash damage, which means like missiles, or will you prefer your shields be better at someone hitting you with direct fire, laser fire? It sounds like they really outlined as far as people being on a multi-crew ship and you got someone in charge of the shields, how they can try to reinforce the shields and help as far as powering some systems or dropping power to others to feed things. It was a really good description on also how parts of a multi-crew, even though this is mostly the shield operator, can just kind of contribute to the ship in general.
You have to manage the generators and everything else.
Alright folks, I'm going to anybody last thoughts on this? I know we covered a lot.
We're going to be back here again on Valentine's Day, February 14th at 1800 hours Central.
No, it's the 7th.
Oh, the 7th?
It's the 7th today, so that's what I'm saying. Today's the 7th, so it's going to be the 21st next.
Ah, good. Thank you very much. It's not the 14th. Go out, have fun, buy chocolate.
I know
But
it's
we'll
going to be the 7th because Con of the North is on Valentine's Day. So somebody didn't think us geeks would be doing anything else on that day. They put a convention there.
Nice. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll catch you next time around the verse.
Thanks, see y'all.
Bye. Be safe.